A2000 EST. That's that OCOE. It's a war in the city, it's a war outside. We spread lies, it's a war in the mind. Let your kingdom come, let it fall right now. Let your kingdom come, let it fall right now. In the same world, we don't fight the same word. I don't need the Glock, nah, I don't need the cane. But I got a weapon that'll make it say grace. Power of the Lord, make him do the whole lane. Lucy mad that it went the right way.
Yeah, what's up, my kin? Man, shout out to y'all. Y'all really did numbers on the last episode. I really talked my ish, but y'all really tapped in, and I appreciate y'all for listening in, for tapping in. I appreciate y'all for real. So this episode, we're gonna talk about boundaries, right? I'm gonna be honest. If you anything like me, you're still progressing in your boundaries. You're still progressing in setting boundaries with your loved ones, setting boundaries with your friends, setting boundaries, period. And this video came from one of my friends, my coworkers. She was a coworker that turned to a friend. I asked her, like, what should I discuss this time? And she said boundaries. And I was like, this is a perfect topic to talk about, because I don't know about you, but I could do some work when it comes to boundaries, when it comes to setting boundaries. And we finna talk about it. So let's get our trusty old notebook. Okay, so let's define boundaries. Okay, I looked up the definition of boundaries on Google, and it gave me this definition: a line that marks the limit. A line that marks the limit. So I looked up another definition to give us more sources, and this source said the limit, both physical and emotional, that individuals establish to protect personal space, well-being, and mental health. So I want to ask everybody on the call, everybody on watching me, everybody tapping in, how many of us fail to set specific boundaries, specific expectations, specific standards? All that falls into boundaries, standards, and expectation. Now, when I think about myself, when I think about my past relationship or previous relationships, I was not setting the standard for a godly relationship, right? For example, my previous relationship, I want to say I set the standard for a godly relationship, but the standard was not held. It's a difference from setting it and holding the standard, upholding the standard. We can set the standard all we want, but are we standing strong on the standard? Are we standing strong? Are we upholding the standard? Right? And so for me, I wanted to get into a relationship I didn't want to, have intercourse. I didn't want to get, in tune with our sexual desires. But how I was being developed, this was early stages in my discipline. So I did not have the discipline to stand on a standard of being celibate and being abstinent. I did not hold true to those standards, and I fell victim to that fleshly desire, and ultimately it destroyed the relationship. Now, with this video, I want to just set the stage to let's remember to uphold the standard. Let's remember to hold tightly to the boundary. It's a boundary for a reason. You don't want to cross this boundary because, one, God might not accept it, and two, it might hurt you emotionally. It might hurt you physically. It might hurt you mentally, right? It might put your mental health in danger. So ultimately, upholding the standard lets us be in peace, right? And so I don't know what standard you want to uphold for me is gonna be about staying away from sexual morality. That's my boundary. My boundary is, you know, a lack of trolling in my friend space. I'll give you an example. I was just hanging out with some new friends on Tuesday, right? Or on Monday and Tuesday, hanging out with some new friends, right? God willing, I made new friends. Good, 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 right? But I have to keep in mind these friends have familiar, or I would say they are familiar with what they do on a daily basis, right? And so when it comes to befriending new friends, for me, right, we need to understand our limits individually, right? So I was calling, so my boy, his name's Anthony. He reminds me of that Mexican OT, right? So I was calling him that Mexican OT all day on Tuesday and on Monday, and he didn't like it, and he told me, he set the standard. He told me, listen, don't call me that Mexican OT. I'd rather be called Phantom. I was like, okay, cool, but you still remind me of that Mexican OT. But he did not like when I called him that Mexican OT, right? And so he set the standard, and I applaud him for letting me know, because I don't want to offend him. Why? Because that's my new friend, right? I don't want to offend him. I don't want to cause resentment. That's not who I am as a person. And so that was settled. And then I noticed how he kind of interacts with me as well. They call in Houston, they call it trolling, but in Jersey we call it hiking, right? And so he had some qualities of hiking or trolling me, to make jokes, to make laughs, giggles, right? It's called shits and giggles, right? But I personally don't like being trolled. I don't like being hiked on. That is something that I stayed away from when I came into my spirituality, when I came into my walk of Christ. I understood that a Mechi G does not like to be trolled, and I don't want to surround myself with people that see trolling as fun, right? And so I told him about it. I called him. I told him, listen, right? He was trolling me about. I posted my dining table and my chair, and I had hookah and the Bible next to each other. And he was trolling me. He was like, "Why you got hookah and the Bible next to each other?" I'm just like, "Bro, like, you're trolling, right?" And I don't like defending my actions. Well, if it's necessary, I'll defend it. But whole group, don't put me on a hot seat. We was on a FaceTime call, 4 people on the call, and he was trolling me in front of everybody. I'm like, bruh, just because we're new friends, we don't know our boundaries, but we're setting our boundaries accordingly so that we know what not to cross, and we know our limits, and we know our expectations. And so I was just telling him, listen, don't troll me. You could troll, but when it comes to me, I don't like that. If we're gonna be bros, if we're gonna be brothers, you need to know this about me. And then he was like, yeah, no love lost, right? He understood. That's an example of setting the boundary, right? You guys, you gentlemen, you ladies, right? Grow a likeness and an awareness and confidence to set the boundary, because no one will know your boundary if you don't set it. No one is a mind reader. I cannot read your mind. No one can read your mind. You need to have that confidence in yourself to love yourself, and to be like, listen, this is where I set the boundary. This is where I set the line. And from there, if the person doesn't respect it, then maybe you need to rethink the relationship. But ultimately, if you're surrounded by like-minded individuals, if you're surrounded by people that want to grow, everyone's gonna understand, and you're just gonna flourish in that relationship. So, right. So I want to keep the focus on right? I said in my notes, protecting your well-being and mental health is first when inviting companionship. Okay, protecting your mental health and well-being is first when inviting companionship. Yes, I want new friends. Yes, I want companionship, but I'm not going to tolerate any behavior. I'm not going to tolerate just any wild behavior that I don't do myself, or I don't tolerate myself, right? It's some things where I stay away from because that is not who I am. And if when I get these new friends and if they're partaking in these new things, I'm going to respectfully say, like, listen, you can do that on your own time. When you're with me, listen, when you're with me, I'd rather not, because I'm not going to fall victim to temptation. I'm not going to fall victim to whatever else, a synonym word for temptation, right? I'm not going to fall victim to that. And it's like, there's a level of self-love that needs to happen to establish boundaries, right? You need to love yourself. If you don't love yourself, you're just going to fall into any relationship. Anybody that attracts to you, you're going to like. Anybody that likes you, you're going to go with. There's a level of self-love that needs to brew, that needs to germinate within you, right? And so I'm always on the side of, now I'm on the side of setting boundaries. Before, bruh, if you knew me, I did not have no boundaries. If you knew me when I was 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, I started having boundaries when I was 21. But I didn't have any boundaries, bruh. I was surrounded by anybody, loving on anybody, people that didn't deserve my love, loving on them, people that treated me like ish, still loving on them. And I know Yeshua says, forgive people 77 times 7. But at the end of the day, right, how I see it is, if you forgive somebody and they still doing the same thing, maybe your forgiveness is not supposed to be for them. Maybe you should keep your forgiveness for yourself, for others that make a mistake, and then, okay, try to work on it to become better. So I'm saying, when I was 20, I got into it with when I was 19 or 20, I got into it with my longtime friend for 10 years because he was trolling me. He was in my car trolling me. In my Jeep Grand Cherokee, big body, trolling me. And I'm like, listen, bro, I was getting trolled for like 4 hours on straight. 4 hours straight. Just sitting there, getting trolled. In my car. Everyone, all of them was in my car. In my truck. I'm just like, the awareness came over me that in that moment, I'm like, bro, I don't have to tolerate this anymore. Get out. I don't care if it was 10 years friendship. You doing things that I don't like. You're behaving in a matter of a behavior that I don't want to be around. And I'm beating myself up because I'm putting myself in these situations. I was putting myself in these situations. And so I got to awareness. My awareness grew in. I'm like, bro, I don't have to be around this. And that's when I made the decision to never be around that again. We were not. After that day, I did not hang out with him till this day. Because, bruh, unless you change, I'm a dip. So I'm saying? And I'm not going to be here to wait on your change. That's just the mentality I had when I was 19, 20. And so when I got 21, I'm like, listen, I have to write down my values. What do I value? And I valued harmony. Now I expect harmony in every friendship, and every relationship that I have. Now, again, I said in my earlier videos, we need to graduate from our ideals of just relationship, boyfriend and girlfriend. No, relationship is any connection, any collaboration, right? And 21, I wrote down my values. What do I value the most? Like, what am I gonna set the standard on? And I wrote that down, and ever since then, man, I've been attracting beautiful people. I'm still in my process of setting standards and getting comfortable with setting standards, because again, I did not grow up with standards. I did not grow up with boundaries. So yeah, man. Right, and I also said setting boundaries lets your friends know who you are. It lets your friends know the type of friend that you are. Listen, if you got friends promoting the look, I'm not saying anything's wrong with the nightlife, right? As believers, go ahead, do your thing. But if it's causing you to feel inside, if the nightlife is causing you conviction, maybe you need to think about it differently. Do something differently. If the nightlife is causing conviction in your soul, maybe that's not where you're supposed to be. And if it's not a Christian nightlife, bruh, I'm pretty sure for me, it will cause conviction. I love being in Houston because the Christian space is so vast. There's a huge Christian space, huge Christian scene, and I love it. Right? If you're not a believer, I hope you are, because that's how we going to rock. If you're not a believer, we might not rock the same way. So I'm saying, I still got love for everybody on this earth, but again, I want to surround myself with believers. Again, you should surround yourself with like-minded individuals. Like-minded. Right? Yeah, man, so setting boundaries lets your friends know the type of friend you are. Right? Are you a friend that allows any behavior to be done to you? Or do you set expectations and standards so that you could be intentional? Being intentional is the most important thing in 2025 for me. I want to be intentional in 2025. 2025 is a year of intention. I'm not just doing stuff to do stuff. And if I find myself doing stuff to do stuff, I'm just going to separate myself. I'm going to have a real conversation with myself. Listen, Meech, this is not what you want to do. Leave. Run. Flee. Right? I'm going to have that conversation with myself beforehand. Is this something that I want to be part of? If it's not, then I'm not going. And honestly, I'm going to make a video about self-work, because that's what needs to happen. I called my man's Jordan last night. We was doing the same thing, self-development. He was listening to Nathan, somebody that's a good, that's dropping values on self-development. He was listening to him, taking notes. I seen him. He was sitting at his desk, and I was sitting at my dining table, listening to myself writing down notes. And I called him. I'm like, yo. And I seen him studying. I'm like, bro, that's exactly what I'm doing right now. And it's beautiful. You're going to get, God going to connect you with people that is on your same wavelength, that is on your same frequency. And right now, it's always been about self-development. It's always been about self-work. And I'm just surrounded by people that surround themselves with self-work, self-development, getting better each and every day. Okay, so God sets boundaries, okay? God sets boundaries. If you don't know God, I'm pretty sure you do. He sets standards and boundaries, and we're going to talk about it, right? So in Genesis chapter 9, verse 1 through 4, the Lord, capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D, was setting boundaries for Noah. And even in Leviticus and Deuteronomy, God is setting the standard. So we're gonna talk about it. Genesis chapter 9, verse 1 through 4. Okay. The chapter is called God Confirms His Covenant. It says, then God blessed Noah and his sons and told them, be fruitful and multiply. That's another standard. That's another boundary. Be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth. All the animals on earth, all the birds of the sky, all the small animals that scurry along the ground, and all the fish in the sea will look on you with fear and terror. I have placed them in your power. Another standard, another boundary. I have given them to you for food. Them for food, just as I have given you grain and vegetables. But you must never eat any meat that still has life of blood in it. That is the boundary right there. He has given the animals, the birds in the sky, the animals that scurry on the ground, the big beasts, them for us to eat. The boundary is, do not eat the animals if they have life of blood in it. Right? And so that just reminds me, like, listen, when I eat beef, when I eat a steak, listen, the boundary is, if it got blood in it, I don't want it. Right? My guys are telling me to eat steak medium so it could be juicy. I'm like, nah. Even before I knew the scripture, I still was like, nah. I don't need no blood in my meat. I don't need no blood in my steaks. But it's so much boundaries that the Lord set for. There's so much boundaries. This chapter, this one is called A Call to Obey the Lord's Commandments. Capital O, capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D. Okay, this is chapter 26, verse 16. Today the Lord has commanded you to obey all his decrees and regulations. So be careful to obey them wholeheartedly. If you declare today that the Lord is your God, and you have promised to walk in his ways, and to obey his decrees, commands, and regulations, and do everything he tells you, the Lord has declared today that you are his people, his own special treasure, just as he promised, and that you must obey all his commands. If you do, he will set you high above all the nations he has made. Then you will receive praise, honor, and renown. You will be a nation that is holy to the Lord. Capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D, your God, just as he promised. So if we stay aligned with the demands, with the decrees, with the boundaries, we will be raised above all nations. And that's something that you got to believe, because that's something that you have to believe. Like, it may feel like no one else is doing it right now, but I'm gonna be honest, no one else is doing it because you're not in the right friend group. You're not in the right friend group. It feels like no one is doing it because you're not in the right friend group. If God has called you to be great, if God has called you to be with his people, to be his chosen, if you know that for a fact, separation is important, because you got to separate yourself from the world. We all grew up with friends that are of the world. Shoot, we was of the world as well. But when we got called, the people that got called separated themselves from the world. And what happened? They separated themselves from the world. They got aligned with the kingdom, and now we got kingdom friends. I got kingdom friends now. And it's beautiful because it was scary at first, but you gotta have faith. You gotta stand by it. You gotta stand by it. So, I'm probably gonna make a part 2 to this, right? Because it's so much more to digest, it's so much more to discuss. I'm gonna make a part 2 for sure, but I'm gonna leave y'all with this: set a standard of living, set a standard of lifestyle. If things are convicting you, pay attention, please. I said in my last episode, not my last episode, but my earlier episode on personal convictions and your freedom, do not cause spiritual death. Do not put yourself in situations where you will cause a spiritual death to your body, to your spirit, right? So set the standard. Let your friends know, listen, you're a different breed now. You're a different breed of God. You're of his people. Let your friends know, listen, I don't partake in this anymore. And if they think that you're capping, maybe you should move away from them. But ultimately, there's gonna be kingdom friends waiting for you. Just cement yourself, position yourself. I love y'all. I'm gonna see you in the next video. Like, comment, subscribe. I forgot to say it in the beginning, but listen, I'm not doing it for the likes. I'm not doing it for the subscriptions. I'm doing it for the impacts, right? And yeah, man, the subscriptions is cool. It's fun seeing my channel grow. I'm gonna be honest with you. I love seeing my channel grow. I love seeing the views go up, and I would be lying to you if I would be lying to you if I said I'm not only doing it. I'm doing it only for the views and the subscriptions. I'm not. I'm doing it because I love doing this. I love connecting with my kin. I love connecting with the world, preaching or speaking about the Lord, having conversations that bring us closer to the Lord. That's what I'm about. I've always been this way, but I've just been in the world. But now I'm not in the world. Now I'm in the kingdom. And we just gonna keep going for the kingdom. I love y'all. See you on the next episode. Peace.